Hi everyone, this is a behind the scenes look at me and Tavares, Garrett, and I wanted to go ahead and speak upon this guy who has worked hard and diligently at creating the body synthesis, but we're going to talk about that during the show. This is actually a behind the scenes look. So, what other questions would you like for me to ask you, Tavares?
You can ask me anything that you wish, Kimberly. You can ask me about my journey and how I began and how I got to where I'm at today. The different seasons I had to go through. That would be very helpful. You can ask me about my personal life. You can ask me about how I have had to persevere through different obstacles leading up to this moment in my life. You can ask me about my mother and my family because they played a huge role and continue to play a huge role in my life. My mom, single mother of 4 kids. Our
Oh,
childhood.
sorry. 10 seconds.
You got it.
5. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Hello, world. My name is Tavares Allen Garrett, and I'm calling from California, the Bay Area, California.
Great. And I wanted to go ahead. I usually ask my guests the same old story, but I wanted to shoot it to you for a second. Can you tell me about your past leading up into your present?
Absolutely. My past begun back when I was born in 75. Um, my mother, a police officer in San Francisco, my father, a fireman in San Francisco at the time. 2 years later, my father tried to kill my mother. At that time, my mother took us away from him, myself and my 3 sisters. We moved over 36 times growing up as we moved south to San Jose. Some of you may know it as Silicon Valley. San Jose, in fact, is the capital of Silicon Valley. We lived there for the rest of our lives. And through that time living there, again, we moved 36 times. So we never had an opportunity to really get comfortable. I was always a new kid in school, and I didn't really like that. But I had to learn how to use that to my advantage. You know, kids always come up to you asking, who are you? Where are you from? How did you get here? And so instead of me being shy, which I was a lot of the time, I decided to use that momentum and become more outspoken. So instead of children coming up to me and asking me who I was, I began to go up to them. As time went on, I was able to learn a lot about traveling because, again, I had to navigate across town to go to school. I tried to stay in these schools a lot while we moved. However, sometimes it didn't always pan out. As I became older, I got involved in the clubbing and promoting, and that was really cool because I was able to make side money. However, the alcohol and the drugs quickly became a part of my life. It was a part of the routine when it came to just networking and partying in that particular environment. Not soon after there, I found myself battling drugs and alcohol. Where some were still partying, I was doing that by myself. I began to isolate myself. I began to find myself in a position where I wasn't very happy with who I was. I was constantly projecting negativity. I was always having outbursts. But I knew there was something inside of me that was very special. So I began the journey of becoming better. I haven't had a drink in over 10 years now. And that is, thank you. And that is because I wanted to be a better version of myself. I knew the work was going to be a long road ahead, but I was willing to put up with the task. And so I did that. Fast forwarding to now, I created a company called the Body Synthesis. I created the Body Synthesis because I wanted to provide affordable wellness care. I wanted to provide things like behavioral change specialist work. I wanted to provide certified personal trainer work. And so I began my journey serving others. I quickly understood through serving others, I would be able to obtain a lot of things that I wanted. But however, it was more about serving. So the Body Synthesis is born. And from then on, I began to just work with people who also were battling drugs, alcohol. Perhaps they weren't too high on themselves. Perhaps they were battling self-body shame issues. I began to find myself in this space over and over. And then I went ahead and started expanding that reach into motivational speaking, where I currently do that now. After the motivational speaking took off, I became a health and transformation educator. That's also a part of what I do currently. And I love it. I love helping people be reminded of how beautiful they are on the inside. And I help to wake that sleeping giant. We all have that sleeping giant inside of us. But a lot of the times we allow the events in our past to dictate where we are in our present. And so I stopped allowing my past to define who I was. I stopped having shame for the things that I had experienced. And so I began to put myself back together very slowly. It is so important that we be very aware of all the pieces of who we are. A lot of us sometimes we get around different groups of people and we do what I call shape shifting. In other words, we leave pieces of ourselves behind in order to fit in with this particular group or groups, plural. And in doing that, I found that I was very uncomfortable. And so the more I began to be in that environment, the more I began to live my truth. And in living my truth, it allowed me to really expand my reach on my podcast, which is called Living Your Truth with Tavares. And in that space, I'm able to have an inclusive, safe space for people to come and be themselves. I use myself as an example. I use my experiences as an example for others to learn from. I'm no longer hiding behind my shame or my shade. I'm no longer hiding behind these things that have happened to me in my life. I'm now embracing them. In fact, recently, I started to really accept myself for who I am. I also battle with ADHD, anxiety disorder, and PTSD. And I found this very important to bring it to the forefront because I also found that I wasn't really accepting myself for a while there. And so the moment I began to understand just how unique I was, I have therapists, I have a team of doctors who help to keep me going. And I implore and encourage anyone out there, if you're looking or seeking for assistance, go after it because you're worth it. You matter. And a lot of the times when we want to get to the other side of decisions, which I call the unknown, a lot of the times those decisions are going to be attached to difficult decisions that we all have to make. I encourage all my members, get to the other side of that decision. Don't allow fear to paralyze you. As we all know, it can. Once we give fear a name, we give it energy. So we have to understand. We got to be careful with our language and how we label things. And of course, how we speak and think to ourselves. And in that space, I've been able to expand and continue to change lives over and over. I have more than 100 members that I service across the country, both in person and virtually. And I must say, Kimberly, I am so, so happy to be in this space because I thrive in this space. And it's very, very beautiful to be here. So thank you so much for asking that question.
You are so welcome. I hate to ask you this, but with the body synthesis, the new body synthesis
Mhm.
program or company, I wanted to know, have you ever thought about putting like whole foods, like wholesome food? Let me ask you this. Do you have like healthy food items on the list? Because I'm gonna ask you another question after that.
For it. I do have healthy foods on the list. In fact, I'm currently on a no carb diet right now myself. Well, not really a diet. It's more of a lifestyle that I've chose because I understand the role carbohydrates play in our life. They're energy. However, for me, I must have them in moderation. So yes, healthy foods is a huge part of what I'm about. Organics, fruits, veggies. I have veggies with every meal. I'm an avid supporter of vegetables, fruits, cooking with colors, virgin oils, no salt added, no sugar added. Because I understand as we age, biologically, our bodies change. And processed food is not real food. I know many people think it is, but processed food is not real food. Fast food is not something that we can live off of. And look, if you love your body will love you back. And the four pillars of the body synthesis are mind, body, spirit, nutrition. I believe we are always connected to the source being ourselves. And in that space, knowing that everything is connected, we must be mindful of what we put in our bodies because we put such a high demand on our bodies. I mean, if you think about it, between getting up, going to the gym in the morning, then going to work, and then, of course, performing at work and doing the day to day all week. And so it's very important to be able to eat the right foods to maintain energy and clean energy that we put into our bodies. Hydration, huge for me. Hydration is number one. We're 85% water as human beings. If you break a human being down, we are atoms and molecules. We are pure energy. And the best way to foster good energy is to have very good nutrition and to be mindful of that sort of thing.
Well said. Oh my God. That leads me to my next question.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about possibly, since you do sell Whole Foods and do different things with that, like finding, because you seem like you have the money, so finding like exotic healthy foods from Africa or somewhere around the world that totally don't really be out there like that, like you and your wife. And then like glutamine is an American based product, or a product based somewhere where we use it for brain energy and
Yeah.
brain health.
Right.
So stuff like that, have you ever thought about doing that?
Absolutely. I'm always looking to expand that reach. I'm always looking to better myself because I understand that the products are out there. The ideas have already been born. So we just have to look for them. We have to be seeking and searching and wanting that, right? Free will is the best thing going. And so we all have the power. You have the power. I have the power to change any part of our lives at any given moment. I have a process called visioneering where I see myself wherever I want to be first. I feel our imagination is one of the most powerful tools we have as human beings. When you look around you, and I mean look around you, everyday life, inside your home, outside your home, everything began with someone's imagination. It was an idea, and they put that into play. So when it comes to exotic foods, different regimens, I'm on board. I look for the healthy ways to sustain health. And again, sustainability is one of the key factors for me. I love being a part of whether it's a product or foods that are sustainable. This is why I mentioned processed food is not real food. It's not sustainable. We can't live off of frozen foods. We can't live off of fast foods. I mean, you can, but your body's going to respond to that. And you may find yourself feeling some elements over time after putting all that food in you. One of the main reasons I don't eat fast food is because I don't know how long that oil's been sitting there that they're cooking that food in. So that is one thing that I think about. Also, bottled water. I drink Kangen water, which is a high antioxidant rich pH water. I don't drink bottled water because, again, I don't know how long that water has been sitting in that plastic bottle. And that plastic bottle perhaps has been sitting in a warehouse somewhere just getting hot, right? So I'm very mindful of those sorts of things because I understand what I put in my body. This is what my body's going to use to regenerate itself. As we sleep, that's when we burn the most energy. I also don't eat 3 hours before bed because that allows me to get a deeper sleep. It allows my fat stores to kick in, and my body uses that energy to rebuild itself instead of me eating an hour or two before bed. Give it a try. It really works. It's what I call a life hack. So it really does work.
And moving, thank you. I will, because I eat like 5 minutes before I go to bed, brush my teeth, everything. Like seriously, I'm being honest, and it's not a good habit. I'm looking to lose more weight, but for right now, I stick with the schedule and everything. But anyway, so tell me about your new book and your workbook for the new body synthesis.
So my new book right here, The Body Synthesis, A Guide to a Better Mind by Tavares A. Garrett. That's me. Um, a Guide to a Better Mind is all about exactly what it sounds like. It's a guide. I have several methods in there. I have several concepts in there that anyone can use at any time to just feed good brain health, right? It's all about good brain health, reading, sleeping, good hydration, and taking the proper steps and making time to take time for you, showing grace to yourself, being patient with yourself. Small steps garner huge results. And so in that space in the book, I explain how to do that. I have several methods in there. Anyone could pick it up. And I also created a workbook, a self-guided help workbook by the Body Synthesis to go with that book so that a person, anyone listening, watching, can take the workbook and they can fill it out according to them. It talks about goal setting. It talks about good food, nutrition. It talks about how to sleep. It talks about where to go play because we don't just want to work all the time. It's important to have fun in life. It's important to have fun with yourself. It's important to just see yourself. In the book, I have a method called Tavares' famous mirror talk. It's exactly what it sounds like. You go into the mirror and you talk to yourself. And if you don't have nothing to say, then you observe yourself because in that observation, you are validating yourself. I show and teach a lot of my members, hey, don't allow the outside world to validate you. You validate you. And you do that with Tavares' famous mirror talk. You go right into the mirror and you be honest with yourself. You're transparent with yourself. You say to yourself, hey, how's it going, Kimberly? How you doing today?
I'm
And that
good.
that bounces back from that mirror, well, one, that's you. And two, that's brand new energy coming right back into you. So you're feeding yourself you, but just with new energy. So I love Tavares' famous mirror talk. In fact, that was one of the first methods that I created when I created the body synthesis. Why? Because there's a mirror everywhere. There's a mirror in your car. There's a mirror in your purse. There's a mirror on your phone. If you hit the selfie film, you hit the selfie button, that's a mirror. So you can actually use Tavares' famous mirror talk anywhere you want. Be your own best friend is what I say. When you feel a lower vibration coming in, you pull that mirror out and you talk to yourself and you say, hey, Tavares, how you doing today? And if I'm doing great, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm doing great, but I want to be better. And in that space, I immediately just gave myself a nice, clean burst of what? Dopamine, really good energy. So it's extremely exciting to use Tavares' famous mirror talk. And that method is also in the book. So definitely get the book, and they can go to thebodysynthesis.com and click on the online store link. And there they will find a bunch of great other products by the Body Synthesis. A Guide to a Better Body is another Body Synthesis product. And also the P.F.O method by the Body Synthesis, which stands for permission, flexibility, and options. In everyday life, we get so busy. And a lot of us, including myself, have forgotten to give ourselves permission, flexibility, options. If I give myself permission, I'm not restricted in this space that I've created for myself, right? And then, of course, one of the most important things that we must have with ourselves, flexibility, okay? I know a lot of regimented people. I'm a regimented person, and sometimes I must give myself that flexibility. And why? So I can exercise my options. A lot of folks don't really understand how many options they indeed do have. A lot of us just think there's only one way to do things. Give yourself a moment, take a beat. There are several ways to do things if we give ourselves permission, flexibility, and options. So pick up that book. It's a very good read. And by the way, again, the workbook coincides with all the books. So you can use the workbook with all the books to help you reach a better version of yourself.
How long should the book last for? And what I mean by that, it's not wear and tear, but how long is the project that you have for them with the workbook and the book all together?
Oh, the project. I mean, if a person sticks with it and they do it every day, they can finish the workbook within 30 days easy. It's about consistency in this space. That's what it's about. And the reason I created both, not only a soft copy of the workbook and the books, but also a hard copy. Some folks like to write things down. I understand that. Some people learn better that way. That's totally good. It's great, in fact. And so it could take 30 days. If you do it every other week, it could take about maybe 2 months. The whole point of the process is for someone to create a routine. I have a routine every morning that allows me to meet myself at baseline. So before I step out into the outside world or before I start to do my work for the day, I know through my routine, I'm able to meet a baseline. In other words, I get myself prepared for the day. I arm myself, so to speak, with Tavares' famous mirror talk, because remember, I'm validating myself in that space. So I want to see myself before the world sees me. Like I said, I don't want the world to validate me. I want to validate myself first. That way, when I go out into the world, I'm effective. I'm sound in mind, body, spirit, and nutrition. I'm able to be a servant leader, which I love to be. And so 30 days, 60 days. And the cool thing is, you can grab another book from the bodysynthesis.com website and still apply that book to the workbook. So if you want to do all of the books with the workbook, you're looking at about maybe 3 months to 6 months. Again, that's going to depend on the individual and how consistent they are. Through my journey, what has helped is consistency. I've had to stay on top of what I feel myself to be. And that is because I want to be better. I want to be better every day. I want to be better today than I was the day before. That's just how I aspire to influence others and inspire others. I've been that way for a while, but I haven't always been that way. And that's why I had to be honest with myself. I had to be transparent with myself. I know a lot of people who have they have some fears and they don't really want to go there. But I say go there. Go to those dark corners of your mind. Go to the spaces that you normally would run from. Don't run from yourself any longer. And how do you do that? You do that by confronting yourself. You do that by loving yourself. You do that by accepting yourself, by seeing yourself. That is a huge part of the body synthesis. So this is why I continue to create books and products for individuals to learn that process. I know it can be difficult. I get it. And some people are or are not there, but the body synthesis will allow you to get there, and there's no judgment. That's why, again, I created the podcast. I created these spaces, and I continue to cultivate these safe spaces with no judgment for individuals to be loved on, to get poured into, and so that they're seen. It's important that we are all seen, but more importantly, that we see ourselves.
Well said, by the way. So tell me, like, before I ask you this question, I would like to say a statement. You
Sure.
know, when I go online, you're right about that. You see these mirrors. It's standard to have at least two mirrors, like a medicine cabinet and a actual hand mirror, or a mirror that goes in your bathroom in the bathroom. That's
Absolutely.
one. Then you have your cameras. And you know what really makes me happy is when I get to talk to the moderators. They can't talk to me back, but each section, each platform I go on has a moderating team that
Mhm.
watches in case I say or do something crazy. So that's my way of getting to know them and telling them, hey, look, I'm not going to do anything crazy today, but I know people out there be watching, and that's what I like about what you said. That is so cool. And
Yeah.
so tell me, like, tell me about your why you chose the body synthesis for the name. Sorry.
Okay, I chose the body synthesis because when I think about photosynthesis, the sun and how the sun affects the earth and the vegetation on the earth and us as human beings, it made sense. Vitamin D is a huge part of our lives. The sun plays a huge role in everybody's life. Vegetation is a huge part of everyone's life. We need that vegetation. This is what gives us great, clean digestion. And so as I go through life, I'm thinking, well, there's constant photosynthesis happening on Earth, which means we're constantly in a space where we're changing, we're evolving. And I love that. So the body synthesis was born. It made sense to me. And I love it because I love to be involved with more greenery on the earth. I love to lessen my own carbon footprint, right? I'm actually getting new solar on my home. We recently got an electric car. So taking the steps, right? Living more of a green life. And so everything coincides very well together when it comes to the body synthesis. Again, mind, body, spirit, nutrition. When we think about clean energy, I think about spirituality. Some folks don't understand what spirituality is. So I say, hey, energy. Once I say energy, everybody gets it. So when it comes to our vibrations, it's important to have those vibrations high and not low. But if they're low, it's important to recognize the pattern. There's a pattern to everything in life. If you are able to recognize the pattern, then a lot of the times you're also able to interrupt the bad patterns, because there are bad patterns that will lead us into these, familiar places where we may want to react or respond in a way that's not really conducive to who we are. So the body synthesis speaks to that. Again, mind, a clear mind, great brain health, body, good food, understanding you love the body will love you back. Nutrition, what we eat is valuable, okay, because we're using this as fuel. And then, of course, spirituality. Energy is important. Look, energy is information. We are always transmitting energy every day in life, whether it's nonverbal or verbal. Okay. A person's beliefs and their values can be easily looked at based on what they're wearing. So you can really see that in a person. Again, energy is information. I see people walking around with their head down. That's information right there. That's going to speak to you. What's going on? Is your head up? Is your chest out? Again, we're talking information. So when I think about the spirit, I always think about having a higher vibration on a higher frequency. Be excited about who you are. Be enthusiastic, because the special thing is, Kimberly, you and I woke up today. There's a lot of people who didn't wake up today. So I see us as the chosen few. And if we're here, then let us shine our light, not only for ourselves, but for others who may be walking in a bit of darkness. So this is why I chose the name of the body synthesis, because there's always a change happening, and change is going to happen no matter where we are in life. So I say, be one with the change. Look for the flow in life. We all know what that flow looks like. You ever pull in to your favorite store and your favorite parking spot is available right there in front of your favorite store? That's what I call the flow. And if you pull into the store, let's say you go to the salon, you pull in, it's a Saturday morning. Not only is your favorite spot there, but your beautician is available and their chair is open and you didn't even make an appointment. That's the flow when things go your way. So I like to stay between ease and flow. Even though we are faced with difficult decisions, we still have a choice in how we want to approach it. So I say approach it with ease. We don't have to meet a situation the same way that we may perceive it. So if we perceive it as being destructive or disappointing, we can still meet it with ease, but many of us don't. We try to match the same energy with what we're looking at. Internalization, how we internalize things, also huge. That's why I mentioned earlier about language. Language is very important because the way we label things, that also is going to have an effect on us biochemically. If I say a situation is stressful, my body has already responded and reacted in ways that I can't even control. So therefore, my attitude begins to shift because I've already labeled the situation as a bad situation. But if I label my problems as opportunities, the different ring to it, right? Has a different vibration to it, which I prefer to do. I think failure isn't failure. Failure is feedback. So when you understand that failure is feedback, you can fail forward in your journey and still have much to learn from. And that's what I'm all about. Learn from every experience, learn from every opportunity because there's information there. Don't shut down. If something happens to you while you're on your journey, it doesn't mean you're on the wrong journey. It just means that thing perhaps had to happen in order for you to wise up and rise up. I often say our problems are there to make us better. Not everyone agrees with that, and I get it because a lot of the times we approach that situation with emotion. So that's why I say love is the emotion behind my actions. When I put love behind my actions, it really makes for a better outcome.
Well said. And we have regular foods, we have good and bad foods, and we got power foods, super foods, and what I want to see happen is an intelligence food or intel food. The food makes us like not just blatantly healthy based on one shot of glutamine in a smoothie, but maybe it helps us for 6 months to a year. What do
Correct.
you think?
What was that?
What do you think about that?
I think it'd be great to have foods that could do that. I also understand sustainability, right? The human body is a dynamic vessel. The human body was not made to be sedentary. We weren't designed to just sit still. This is why some of my members, they come to me and they are battling weights and weight loss. And it's because they're not moving enough. A lot of us have a surplus of energy. That's what I call it, a surplus of energy on us. All you have to do is move more. A body in motion stays in motion. That's what it comes down to. So anything that will help sustain us, I'm completely on board with, especially when it comes to good, clean energy, good, clean nutrition, vitamins, things of that nature. I prefer to be a part of vitamins that we already produce in our body already, because I know with foreign objects and with foreign substances, we do run a risk of being compromised as human beings. So anything that makes us better, I'm on board with. Do your research, of course, do your due diligence. I'm huge on that. That matters to me. But if it makes sense to you in your life, in your journey, and the season that you're in, go for it. Make sure you read your label, consult with your physician, of course, and then, of course, go for it. Because I believe that everybody has the opportunity to be better. A lot of us, we settle. I'm here to say, don't settle. You're too good to settle. You're too beautiful to settle. Why settle? This is your health. This is your life. We get one body. We get one body. I mean, what a deal to be made, right? I'll give you life, but I'm gonna give you one body. You gotta have it forever, you know. So take care of it. It's not hard work, and I know many people feel like it's so hard because they have work. They may, if they have children. I have children. They're adults, but when I had my kids were younger, I was able to put together a plan. So we don't have to give up who we are in order for others to have what they want. Create the routine, create a balance, and therefore you create a better life. And you take it one day at a time because you're worth it. And that's something that the body synthesis, I continue to pour into my members about. I love on them, I pour into them, I let them know how beautiful they are, how special they are, how unique they are, and how if they feel like there's too much on their plate, I remind them, if you feel like there's too much on your plate, well, think about what you're capable of. Think about what you've made it through. Think about where you've come from. Kimberly, I've come through a lot. And if it wasn't for all that I came through, I wouldn't be the version of Tavares, Allen, Garrett that I am in front of you right now. And I think about that. I think about moving 36 times as a child. I recently bought my first home. I mean, think about the gratitude that I feel right now about that. It's great. Where many people would be like, Oh, I don't deserve to buy a home. We moved so many times, I can never get my feet firmly planted on the ground. Negative. It's not about where you're coming from. It's about where you're going. And it's about visioneering. See yourself where you want to be. If you want a new car, see the color, see the interior, see yourself in the car. If you want a new home, see the neighborhood, see the address, see the door, see the floor, see the walls, see everything you want. In fact, see yourself in the favorite room of that house. That's what I say. Visualization is a very powerful tool. One of my mantras is visualize, plan, execute. 3 steps to success. I've been using that since I was 18 years old. And look, sometimes things don't always look the way we want them to look. But I'm a firm believer that all of our blessings in life, they always come in disguise. So stay the course. Be obedient to your greatness. Everyone has that greatness inside of them. So be obedient to that. Don't give in to the default messages that you once knew because of bad memories. We all are very much aware that we have emotions that are tied to old memories. And sometimes when we make those connections, it holds us back. I say, accept yourself as you are, love yourself first, and that love will show up everywhere else around you.
So tell me, well said, by the way, tell me about the time with the new body synthesis was born, the workbook, the new book. Tell me about how they were born and again, why they were born.
Why they were born was because I felt that I should share this information. I wrote my first book a few years ago. It's a series called Kissed by the Wind, a book of poems and passions. I wrote that series. Well, it began as me helping myself while I was coming out of drugs and alcohol. I was literally going through the detox phase, and I had nowhere, like I had no one to really talk to because I had isolated myself. So I began to put my notes down on paper. All my thoughts were on paper. And before I knew it, boom, I have 3 volumes of this book. So that gave me the momentum and the motivation. And so when the body synthesis, a guide to a better mind was born, a guide to a better body was born, and the P.F.O method, permission, flexibility, and options was born, it was about me serving others. That's all I was thinking about, Kimberly. I was thinking about serving others. I wanted other people to have this material, this information in the palm of their hand, whether it was the hardback, the softback book cover, or it was the PDF version. I just wanted everyone to have that in their hands. And once I started writing the book, I began to really see the flow of life open up for me. And I was excited. I was becoming more excited. And so that's why I said, you know what? If the 4 pillars are going to be mind, body, spirit, nutrition of the body synthesis, then I gotta have the books to go with that. And so I created the books, created the workbook. And when it was born, it just made sense. And I've been excited ever since. And so we're going to keep going with this. I'm going to continue to serve people, not only virtually, not only in person, but also through these books. I'm pouring my heart into this. This is my journey. And I love using my story to serve others because I get that not everyone is ready to share. So I'm mindful of that, right? I don't ever push my clients. I never push them. I allow a space to be cultivated between us through another method that I have called CLS, connect, listen, share. In fact, a lot of like what we're doing right here, this is the entry point into the body synthesis. Because again, I'm very mindful that not everybody is ready to share. Some people have some things that they've gone through that are very traumatic to them. And so when I share my trauma stories, it allows them to see, you know what, there is life after trauma. And that's what I want the listeners and the supporters to always know. I know many people who battle with a lot of traumas. They refuse to let them go because they believe that's where they belong emotionally within themselves. So they're in like this emotional jail. I say break out of that jail. Become emotionally rich. When we are emotionally rich, we will not be stopped. We love ourselves. We see ourselves. And when we love and see ourselves, guess what, Kimberly? We're able to love and see others as they are without judgment. Without judgment. That's the highest level of consciousness right there, to observe somebody without judgment. We're all reflections of each other. You and I are reflections of each other. Light reflects light. I admire you. I see that in you. I see the struggle. I see the hustle, but I also see the professionalism, determination, goal setting. I see your light. Every time we talk, I see your light. Light reflects light. That's what I'm talking about. So it's a beautiful situation when we're able to love ourselves and see ourselves, because then we love to see other people. And then, of course, we pour into them and we serve them. And I love to be a servant leader.
Wow, that is well said.
And,
How does spirituality play a role in this whole game?
oh my goodness. Spirituality for me, it's everything. It's my energy. It's the way I look at myself. It's the way that I treat myself. It's the level of alignment that I feel I need to thrive beyond the physical world, right? Every part of me is involved in the body synthesis spiritually. That's my energy. I think about the emotion. Remember earlier I said love is the emotion behind my actions. So I think about that because I want, even through the books, I want for people to feel my love, the love that I have for myself, because in doing that, they're going to feel the love I have for them. And that's going to encourage them to have that love for themselves. When they hear my story, they're going to think, wow, if this guy can make it through, I definitely can make it through. And that's what the books are about. A Guide to a Better Mind, A Guide to a Better Body, the P.F.O. There's 2 more books coming out, A Guide to Better Nutrition and A Guide to Better Spirituality. Those books are already in production and they're about to be released in the next 2 weeks here. And so that's what this is about. This is about seeing yourself, validating yourself, pouring into yourself, loving yourself, liking yourself, accepting yourself. It all starts with the self. I can't love another person until I love myself. Before I got married, I was on a journey and I knew that journey was going to be difficult at times, but I had to take it. I had to take it. And a part of my journey was traveled by myself. I say to people, it's okay if you're by yourself doing your journey. Not everybody can go, and not everybody needs to be privy to what you're experiencing. The journey is for the self. We have to be mindful of that. I've had friends who ask me how you do this, how you do that. I explain it to them, but then they don't really take heed to what I'm saying. I can't be upset with them. I understand the journey that I'm on. And the more I'm consistent, the more I show up to myself and I'm transparent with myself, the better my journey becomes. Is my journey perfect? Not at all. But that's what I love about it. Because remember what I said earlier, my problems help me to rise and wise up. So if the problems weren't there, how much better would I be? I mean, let's think about that for a second. We have to really overcome. And to me, in short, life is difficulty, opportunity, overcoming. That's what life is to me. So if we're able to overcome those difficult moments, then we can make it happen for ourselves. So I say, love yourself and love yourself through it all. Don't just kind of love yourself completely. And no, I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm talking about real spiritual self-loving, self-awareness, self-care, all of it. But we must be mindful and most importantly, be intentional about your personal growth. Be intentional about your personal growth.
You know what's funny? Like we forget to maybe like for a week or two. I've never done this before, but we learn how to. I know people that's done it, like to maybe forget putting on lotion or forget a
Yeah,
bath or two.
yeah,
And it's like that's neglecting and not loving themselves. If you can't learn to eat healthy, special hygiene, and
ab-
uh, engaging in healthy conversations with people, then you don't love yourself.
right. And you're spot on because all of those things that you mentioned, those are forms of self-love. We have to take care of ourselves. Again, I understand the day-to-days of life. I'm a parent too. I know parents. I know children. Look, I get it. But take the moment. Take the time to make the time. It's not as difficult as we may make it seem. And remember what I said earlier about the language, how we talk to ourselves. That's also huge. The thoughts we think to ourselves, that's also huge. If you are always saying or complaining, well, the universe is going to give you more to complain about. Some people think if I complain, the universe will hear my pain. No, the universe hears, oh, we're going to give them more to complain about. Stop complaining and start loving. Start looking at your life with more optimism. Again, your problems are there to help you wise up and rise to the occasion. Without that, how much better could you actually become? I mean, think about that. If everything was always good and there was never a problem, how much would we actually grow? If it wasn't for some of the things that I went through in my childhood, Again, I wouldn't be the version of Tavares Allen Garrett I am right now in front of you. And there was a while there where I was pushing those things to the back. I was like, no, don't like that about myself. No. But now I accept all of who I am, the good, the bad, the indifferent. I've made decisions, bad decisions, and great decisions. Those decisions don't define me. Those are now reference points. And now I'm able to refer to those moments. I'm able to talk about what once shamed me. Now I'm able to highlight that. And I share that with my members. And some people are taken back. They're like, oh my God, how can you talk about that to everybody on a stage of people? Easy. It's who I am. I love myself like that. I recently did a talk, over 1,000 people out in the audience, and people were gasping at some of the things that I said. And they were, afterwards, they were like, how did you find the courage to share that part of your story? I accepted myself. I realized I was the one telling myself about all the stories in my head. I was the one saying what was problematic. I was the one that was lowering my own vibration based on my own thoughts. Nobody walks up to me and says, you know what you did back in the day was really bad business. You should know. Why? Because they don't know. But
Yeah.
And so when we own all of ourselves, own all of yourself, this is when we are able to look at others without judgment. A lot of the reason that people judge others is because they're too busy judging themselves. So what do? We project. Immediately we project. If we don't like something, we project. Stop projecting. And if you want to project something, project love, project respect, project sustainability. That's what you want to project. Be kind, be warm. That's the season I'm in. And also, I want everyone to understand and know this does not happen overnight. I've had to be very consistent in my efforts and in my journey. So be consistent, because it takes a lifetime to master. And everything we do in life is practice. And everything that we do leads us closer to our goals. So continue to talk yourself up and in instead of down and out.
You know, well said. You are so smart, by the way. I have to piggyback off of you because I would personally do not care about speaking about my life, and this is my reason, because I've learned life, success. Basically, I don't sit up there and not judge, but I don't hide my what I've been through, because I feel like what I've been through should be a learning experience. Once you start hiding from your children or teaching your children how to hide things, or teaching your spouse or your even your family members or even friends how to hide things from people, it's because you think that you would never be judged. And in a spirituality moment, you can be judged. Everybody gets judged when they leave this earth, and energy never dies, like Black Eyed Peas said.
Mm-hmm. First law of thermodynamics: energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but merely transforms. That's what it is. And if you understand that, then you understand, as people, like you just mentioned, we are energy. I believe that a lot of us have been here for a long time. Our spirits just take different forms. The energy goes in different forms. And it's important to understand that. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Approach life with optimism, because you're worth it. And it's more fun that way. There's enough stuff going on in the world to lower everyone's vibration if you allow it. Don't allow it. Be mindful of your energy. Manage your energy. How do you do that? By showing yourself grace, being patient with yourself. If you feel a vibration coming on to you that you don't really want, let it pass. Let that vibration pass so that you can raise your vibration, raise your energy by changing your frequency. We all know what a TV is. When we don't like the station, we change the channel, AKA we change the frequency. So if you want to be better, change your frequency and you will get exactly what you want out of life. Remember, we're going to get out what we put in. So put the work into yourself. Put that love into yourself. Put that intention and attention into yourself. Okay? Attention goes where energy flows. So be mindful of that. If we're focusing on the wrong things, then we can't be surprised that we're not getting what we want out of life. We must understand what we want, we manifest. Perception is reality. So we have to step into ourselves. We have to see ourselves and accept and love ourselves. This is how we become better, one day at a time. And it's not hard work. It just takes a moment, and you can do a little bit each day. 5 minutes of gratitude each day will go a long, long way.
You know what? I well said, by the way. I wanted to say that we only use 10% of our brains,
Right.
and that must be really heavy, cold-hearted on us, you know. But I want to move on to a different subject before I let you go, because you're very well respected. So, real quick, in under 3 minutes, tell me, what do you think of the future of health foods will be out there, and strengthening brain strengthening products? What do you think about that, for like with artificial intelligence or not, with
Hmm.
just Intel foods, like I was saying, will be out there?
I believe that we are going to create a more sustainable food source. Where AI is concerned, I believe that AI will be utilized in that space, in that industry. I believe that we have the technology already, that we're already creating more sustainable foods. I believe that we want to create a more healthy human being, and we're going to do that because we understand that cancer needs an acidic environment to thrive in. That acidic environment comes from a lot of acidic foods that we eat or we eat too much of. So cancer to me, it's a business. Yeah, it definitely happens, but it also happens because we have to have population control. But beyond that, it really comes down to the nutrition. I don't eat meat. I don't eat chicken. I don't eat turkey because I understand I'm eating everything that animal eats. That's the only reason I stopped eating everything, because I understand that nowadays they pump the animals with so many steroids and all these other pesticides. And that stuff, the human body isn't made to break that stuff down. And a lot of the times we get sick. So I do believe, and I am subscribing to a more healthy, sustainable food source. And I do believe that the technology will speak to that. AI will be a part of that. And it'll make and create a more cleaner, healthier human being. Nowadays, I look at the kids today, and a lot of these kids look very, very grown.
I know, right?
But it's the food. It's in the food. It's the pesticides. It's the steroids. They want bigger humans. They're gonna put that food. They're gonna put that stuff into the food. So this is why I'm more pescatarian. We eat fish, vegetables with every meal, fruits, all of that. I have a milk that's called Ripple Milk. It's a chickpea milk. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat cheese. So I take these steps. And let me be clear, I haven't always been this way. It took time to tweak and navigate because I did love chicken at one time. I did love steaks at one time. But I also love feeling lighter, more coherent. My brain health is better. I'm more clear. I'm more effective as a human being. And I love that space. So I'm totally on board with our scientists and all these great scientific industries creating a more sustainable and healthy food. Because I do believe when we create a better, healthy food, we create better nutrition. And when we do that, we allow better room and more room for spirituality, for better brain health, and better bodies. Remember, loving your body's going to love you back. And what we put inside ourselves is going to speak to our level of productivity. If I'm eating fast food 5, 6 days a week, then why am I questioning why I feel lethargic? Why am I questioning why I'm not getting good sound sleep? That's because of all the other additives in that food. So I'm going to go to the source. I identify myself as the source. I'm not the mind. I'm not the body. I'm the spirit. I'm Buddha. You also are Buddha. We all have a Buddha inside of ourselves, every single person. Take the time to make time to go within and seek and search, and you will find.
Wow, Tavares. And where are, like, I wanted to say something before I close, but I wanted to say this. Colon cancer is a very, very, very serious disease, or
Absolutely.
cancer, because my mother had it and she passed away
Sorry to
from
hear that.
fourth stage, and she used to eat nothing but Burger King food. And like you said, the foods that such as Burger King have so many additives in it, it can do more harm than good. And I remember when I was younger, that's all we used to eat. And I looked at my age like a grown woman. Like you said, it wasn't no makeup or nothing. I just looked grown for my age. And now I know why. It was the hormones. It was the additives, like you
Correct.
said.
Correct.
So tell me, like, where do you see you and your family going in the future? And then we're going to close with how to reach you.
I see my family continuing the journey of sustainable nutrition, spirituality. I see us continuing to take care of our bodies like we do every day. I see us being more mindful and furthering our message, reaching more people, serving more people. Just yesterday, we gave away a bunch of organic food to a community refrigerator in Vallejo, California. We filled up the entire refrigerator for other people. And it was full. And I love that because we put greens in there and salads. We had some fish in there. We had some sauteed mushrooms and spinach. I mean, it was a lot of great, healthy food. And so we are serving. That's where I see my family continuing to go. We love to serve. We love to be in the community. And in fact, quiet is kept, I'm considering running for public office. Shh.
Get out of here. We could have been talking about that. Oh my God, that's going to be a whole case. When?
I'm actively in the process right now. I have a couple of calls that have to be made that we're going to be talking about later on this week. But like I said, I wanted to expand my reach. I want to affect me. And if I can do that, again, I'm a visioneer. I see it first. If I could see it, I could believe it. If I could see it in my mind, I could hold it in my hand, Kimberly. Okay? That's how I think. On this platform, I'm great.
I'm sorry. I wanted to know, you're running as a Democrat, right?
Yes, I'll be running as a Democrat.
You know what? The guy from KCAA Radio, the one that you're on right now, he's Democrat, and I think that is so cool that we can work together in a bipartisan way. So I love it.
Thank you, Kimberly. Absolutely. I want to expand the reach. I want to expand and touch everybody I can because I understand. Look, the version of me right now is on this earth for a limited amount of time, and it took me a long time to understand that I'm valuable. You're valuable. We're all valuable. And so I want to use my light to shine the concept on more people. I want to help people to understand, hey, you know what? It's possible. What you want in life is possible. Start with your health. Start with self-love. Start with understanding who you are. Start with acceptance of the self. And so serving on a major platform, like serving an entire city, oh my goodness, just beautiful. Because look, the children are the future. And I see kids all the time. I help to mentor children all the time. And we talk about food. We talk about nutrition. I see what they're eating. And I ask them, you know, what's it like? Or how do you sleep? Or do you feel like you're getting good nutrition? Do you feel like nutrition matters? And they all tell me, yes, but sometimes their parents can't afford the good food. So that is why we donate to community refrigerators all over the Bay Area. It is so important to allow people to have access to good food, good nutrition. And I don't,
because we got less than 2 minutes.
You got it.
People, thank you so much for joining my show. How can the people reach you? Politician.
Thebodysynthesis.com. In fact, you can email me, Tavares at thebodysynthesis.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm on Instagram at Tavares A. Garrett. You can also go on Instagram at Body Synthesis, and also on Facebook at Body Synthesis. But you want to contact with me directly, Tavares at thebodysynthesis.com, Tavares at bodysynthesis.com. Traditional spelling. And I do respond. You talk to me, I'm going to talk back.
Angel. Okay, thank you so much for joining my show, Tavares. Hold on the line. You all take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys another time. Bye.